Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Excited for everybody to be here today. We're just going to do we'll do a little applause here. Yeah, there we go. So I'm joined this morning. I'm super excited this morning that we just talked about this. Fadi Dabaja. Did I do it right?
Fadi Dabaja.
Fadi Dabaja. Amazing that we just talked about it and I still screwed it up.
One of the many variations of my name.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm super excited to have you here today.
Likewise.
We've been kind of crunching it off the camera here, and I'm like, we got to save some of this for the podcast, man. Like, this is like gold that you're getting right now, and I hope you guys understand like what gold you're going to get this morning from this guy. You know, and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, but man, like, so just a real quick question, just to start you off here.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in the business, and how did you get started on the mortgage side first, or how did you come in? And I'm gonna let you run with that one.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2001. I went to college first year, second year. I was introduced into the mortgage business. Somebody said, "Hey, they're doing this training thing. Guy knows a guy, and hey, why not just try it out? You know, it's a side thing you can do while you're in college. Get into mortgages. Tried it out, and I kind of liked it. I'm like, you know what? It seems like easy money, just like, anybody that goes into, real estate or mortgage. In the beginning, you just see like, big checks and this and that. Okay, why not? Let's try it out. But I started doing it. First year, didn't really do much. Second year is when I took off. Third year, fourth year, was doing really good in mortgages. And then obviously, what happened in 2007, 2008. I'd have a doctor that's like an 800 score, and the guy makes $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year. Couldn't even get a loan for $100,000. And so I left the mortgage industry in like 2009, 2010. I got into real estate. So mortgage and real estate, you want to say all the way back from 2002.
Okay.
Yeah. So I graduated in 2004. I got my bachelor's in marketing and finance. It took me a little bit of time to do it because I was kind of juggling both. But yeah, that's basically since 2002 mortgage up until 2009, 10. Then I went into the real estate game. And then about 3 years ago, I got approached by Rocket Mortgage. They had a program called Rocket Pro TPO.
Yep.
It's for real estate agents and insurance agents that kind of want to get into, like, have a secondary income, that know about mortgages, that are doing good in the business. Hey, why don't you come in and join? I went, I got it. Then I got shut down. We'll get into that. I got shut down, but yeah, I think it was fun. I love mortgages. It was one of my favorite things to do. But with the crash that happened, it kind of changed things around. With the crash, I took advantage of it though. I didn't sit there and crumble up in a corner and cry.
Yeah.
When you're in a business for 6, 7, 8 years, if you don't collect every single name and number and email address from every one of your clients and store them somewhere, you're screwed, because that's where your bread and butter is.
Yeah. We talked about this just a second ago too, right? Like, it's data, right? Like data is gold right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been for a few years, right? Like, but we're all just trying to catch up to it. This is why these CRM companies are so big now, right? Like,
that's why people are paying top dollar to Facebook and Instagram. Why does it cost you money to run ads on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok and all that stuff? Because they got the data. The data is where the money is.
Yeah, and I this really resonated with me too. And you may not, you'll get this part, but like, so I didn't realize this. So my wife's a dental hygienist,
mm-hmm.
and she worked for the same dentist for 20 years. Then he was retiring, and then another dentist was buying the practice. And I was like, well, I get the building, but I'm like. But then when I talked to him and I have a good conversation with him, he was buying the patients is really what he was buying. Like he was getting into the business. He was a new dentist. Like he'd been practicing for a minute, but with somebody else. So and I'm like, well, you're buying the practice. He's like, I'm buying the patients. Like, that's the data, right?
Yeah,
he needed the data. He needed that thing, because now he's added, like, a couple of his other dentists have retired. He bought their practice. And I'm like, well, you're just really, and then I'm like, man. So I go, from a real estate perspective, I started thinking about this. I'm like, if you built your database big enough, what would it be worth?
That's how real estate companies are sold.
Yeah.
That's how brokerage is, or an agent's business is sold. It's your clients, what data you have on your clients, and what kind of lifetime value do you have with that client? That's the most important thing. And that's where the bread and butter is.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, if you don't collect that, your business is worthless.
Yeah, it's not the building, right? I mean, anybody can go find a building. It's not the building. I need people to come to the building.
That's why EXP got built the way it was built. It's because it's not about the brick and mortar. It's not about having a $2 million office with the shiniest objects and all that stuff. It's about you, the agent, who you know, and how you run your business, and how you can take that data and recycle it over and over.
Yep.
Because people will buy, on average, 3 to 4 homes throughout their lifetime. And they'll in residential and commercial, people will buy 2 or 3 commercial properties that are in the business and whatnot. And that's how you recycle them. Remember, the biggest thing that, all coaches will tell you, all these people on, social media will tell you when it comes to client retention, you satisfy one customer, by word of mouth, they're going to give you 10 more clients, right? So if you take care of that client, you're going to get 10 more. That's just on average. You mess up one client, you're going to lose 100 different clients in the future. So that's why that, retention, taking care of that client for the future is very important.
Yeah. Now I'm just doing some other checks here. Yeah, you're right. And it goes back to the data and then the attention, right? Like how can I pull this attention in? How can I gain more people to look at what I'm doing, right? Because that's, at the end of the day, as a real estate agent, the more eyes we have on us is why we're all doing social media, right? I know, Al and I have talked about this. You've heard Al say it before, like social media, like nobody really enjoys it. But man, if you're not doing it,
it was despised, dude. From 2000 and between 99 and 2000 and say 5, the social media was the devil. Internet was the devil until people finally realized that the internet and social media is where it's at, because it's not just your local, market that you're attracting the whole world.
Yeah.
You're able to get to everybody. And it could be how does this freaking guy Al get people from outside of the world to come talk to him, to come say, I want to buy and sell? It's because of social media.
Yeah.
And he has a right to brag about it because he's taking advantage of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
People don't, he does, and he's going to take your client. I'm sorry. That's what it is, right?
Yeah, that's the amazing part. That's why it's international.
Yeah.
And so you got into the business on the mortgage side, kind of got over to real estate and all those kind of things. So here's the other thing, Nick. So knowing what you know now, would you have started in mortgages or would you still go into real estate?
I think that me going into the mortgage business was my biggest, the biggest factor of why, I'm, successful right now, and I'm able to streamline my whole process. It was because of that, because the biggest factor in real estate is the mortgage. Sellers have a mortgage, buyers have to get a mortgage. The mortgage is the number one, part of it. 60 to 70% of the actual process in real estate. If I didn't get into, mortgages in the beginning, right, and if I didn't like homes, because I'm also a licensed builder, and I've been a licensed builder since 2006.
I was gonna say that was my next one. Was like you're a licensed builder too. So when did you have that?
So I don't build homes. I've done flips. I do a lot of investing, and I do all that stuff. But the reason why I did that, and the reason why I kind of stayed in the mortgage business, is because it's kind of like if you're a car salesman and you don't know how to change your own oil, you don't know how to change a flat tire, and you sell cars, like this is your business, your bread and butter, and you don't know the parts of the car, like when they tell you how many horsepower, is a power this or automatic that, and you can't answer that question. What kind of salesman are you, right?
Right.
How are you even working? If I'm a real estate agent and I can't walk around the house and say, okay, well, this downspout needs to get fixed, and this is a high efficiency furnace, and we have a bad T trap over there for that. And if you can't walk around and kind of I'm not telling you to do an inspection, but kind of know what you're saying here so you can direct them in the right way. Dude, it saves you a lot of time and money later.
Yeah, it's one of the things Kurt and I always taught at boot camp was like what volutes are, right? And knowing mutton bars, and knowing because if you're going into a high end home, people are going to ask you those questions in a $1 million home, a $2 million home. They're going to ask you those questions. If you go, I don't know.
Yeah. Let me get back to you on that.
and that's everything in the house. You're like, let me get back to you on that. Like 1 or 2 things, I get it. I've had to search some stuff man, what is that?
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you look at on any of my social media, if you look at anywhere, I've never ever marketed that I am a loan officer, because I'm not. I only got my mortgage license, and I'm doing mortgages for my clients that come in that don't have a lender, that don't know where to start, and I've known them for a long time, and I just want to help them out. Okay, you know what? I'll do the loan for you if I'm able to do it. And you like what you see? Great, we'll move on forward, because I'm able to do both, and we can streamline the process for you. We can make it easy. And I'm a little control freak, but Hey, shh, don't
that totally doesn't come off of your personality.
Not a little bit. But I mean, that's why. I mean, and at the end of the day, look, the more information, the more knowledge you have, people see it, right? And we talk about this all the time. And you say, like, when we're doing role plays and we're talking to people, and people that get listings in their appointments, and people that don't, people that are able to negotiate deals and get an offer accepted, and people that don't. You can tell it in their voice. You can tell in the way they. I mean, look at Kurt when he talks. Like, the reason why I'm using Kurt is because everybody knows Kurt in this group, like in this channel.
Right.
Like, Kurt talks, and even you talk and you're just flowing. How does that happen? Because you got that confidence.
Yeah.
And we talked about that, me and Lisa.
Yeah.
If you remember when I came in and started talking with Lisa, and I brought it up, it's like that confidence comes from knowledge. When you know what you're saying and what you're doing, and you know how to get in there, and when you can answer any question, you can actually answer questions before they're asked. That confidence level is what brings people and makes them feel more comfortable. You make somebody feel more comfortable, they're going to want to work with you more.
Yeah.
That's the bread and butter. That's the sauce. That's the recipe.
Yeah. Right. That's what I say. It's as I teach my boys, right? Get your chest out a little bit, roll those shoulders back, and then again, you just feel better. Like Lisa's hero pose, right?
Yeah.
Her tongue, she still up Tony Robbins.
Like this, like Superman.
Yeah. But that's the thing, right? That's the confidence when you walk into a room, and it's when you can feel that. I have a presentation that I do on presence and brand, because your brand is important, and I love the relationship that I have with Robert Courtney now too, because his and one of the biggest things he said to me was, don't worry so much about your logo and all that thing. You make what that brand is. You make the brand. The brand doesn't make you.
100%. That's why, for example, Gary Vee. We're just talking about Gary
Yep.
Vee. What does he say? If you see a check symbol, swoosh, right? You see it anywhere, or you see an apple that's half bitten or a quarter bitten or whatever. Does it need to say Apple underneath it? Does it need to say Nike underneath it? It's automatic. That's what branding's about. The sense that branding is more. It's people confuse branding and marketing. Branding is just omnipresence. It's just seeing something and know what it's related to. Where does it come from?
Yep.
You see the swoosh, you know it's Nike, you know it's shoes, you know it's sportswear. You see the Apple, you see the Microsoft symbol, you see any of these, you'll know what it is, right? But
the polo on your shirt.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody knows this is polo, right? Yeah. Unless it's Polo Association.
U.S. Polo Association. But that says it.
Yeah,
it does that.
They have to, because of branding or copyright.
Right.
Whatever. But the difference between branding and marketing is just letting everybody know your presence, right? Marketing is basically explaining what your services are or what you're selling, right? And people don't understand the difference, and people think that marketing and branding are the same, where I got to put my logo everywhere at the same time where I'm trying to showcase this house.
Right.
No, dude, you can't. You just showcase the house, right, and then put your logo on something else. Separate the two. And there's a lot of things that you can go into. We can deep dive into this, and especially with real estate.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to get into that, but I mean, we can talk about that sometime. Because once I get into marketing and branding and stuff, because that's that's one of my passions, I'll never stop. I want to go into what I kind of came here to do.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into it. What did you come here to do?
So basically, we hear this a lot. I mean, especially in the call, and this is what I love about with EXP, and especially our group. I don't know if other states, other regions, kind of have or do what we do. I don't think they do, because I've traveled a lot. I've seen a lot of these different companies and different brokerages and areas. The camaraderie that this southeastern Michigan has, and now I think it's reached all 50 states. There's people on the call that are from everywhere: California, Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania.
The California ones are the ones that get me. It's 4:30 in the morning. Man. I don't think anything I say is important enough to hear at 4:30 in the morning.
And everybody in Michigan, like Al says, if you're in Michigan and it's 7:30 and you can't get on the call, but these guys from California are 4:30 and can get on the call, and you can't, we got a problem. This is what we're here to talk about today. Everybody complains that the market's slowing down, that interest rates are too high, the NAR thing, this thing, the settlement. People are not. They're scared. Nobody's selling. Nobody's buying. The market's crap. And I get this from everybody. People come tell me yeah, man, it's hard out there. Look, it's hard out there for everything and everybody. It can be hard as hard as you want it to be.
Yep.
You make it hard. Nobody makes it hard more than you, right? So at the end of the day, you have to simplify things. How do you simplify things? You got to set yourself up for success. How do you set up yourself for success? is by making sure that you have, number one, all the tools that you need to succeed, all the resources that you need to succeed, and your actions by taking those things that you have to make, to get yourself set up in real estate. Your actions are say actions speak louder than words. That's what it's all about. And what I mean by actions is, okay, as a real estate agent, whether you're full-time or part-time, what do you do throughout your day? Income producing activities, we hear about this all the time, is basically what you should be doing. But how do you set that up? Nobody knows. Like, Jimmy, how many agents do you know have a routine that every single day they follow?
Not a lot.
I mean, let's just say, how many real estate agents out there in the country? 1 million or so, whatever. They say maybe 40% of them are working. Narrow it down. There's 300,000 agents. Let's just say they're really actually closing deals or whatever the case may be. I want to say only maybe 30 to 40% have an actual routine, right?
Right.
And from that 30, 40%, very minimal do it every single day.
And the ones that do are in the top 1%.
Correct.
Of the industry.
Correct. If you have a pizzeria, you have a coffee shop, your doctor's office, whatever the case. I don't want to use doctors; they never come on time. But say you own a pizzeria, you own a coffee shop, you own a donut shop, or whatever the case may be, some sort of business, any business. Ford Motor Company. They open and they close every factory at the same time. They have things that they got to do prior to opening. They got things that they got to do before they close so that they're able to keep the machine moving. You as a real estate agent, you're not an employee. We're not employees here. We don't have a job where it's like automatically between 9 and 5, you're getting paid, you're getting that paycheck, you're getting everything that you we're not like that. We basically get paid based off the effort and the work that we do and from the results that we get from our actions. So if you run your business like a business, that's where you become successful. And people don't run their real estate business as a business. And then they say, well, it's the market. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. No, man, it's you. It all starts with you, because if you don't treat it like a business where you open and you close, where you have things that you got to do prior to opening, you have to do things after you close. And then in between, you got to get your business out there and let everybody know that, hey, you have your business out there. How many things that you get on your door from, all these different businesses, hey, coupons and all that stuff. Well, they're trying to spread the word, right? But even if, let's just say you do spread the word, you do a really good job, because I know a lot of agents out there that have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 followers on, social media, and everybody knows who they are. They have that branding, right? Right. But then when it comes down to the business, they don't know how they're doing.
Right. Right. And so this thing. So they're in the top 1%. We know what those are. The other thing, and I want your thoughts on this, because through my experience and what I've seen, is agents who don't live with that, right? Because we've all fallen into this.
Yep.
We've all fallen into, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, busy right now. But it's because I'm not living a 9 to 5 life that I'm living this. Oh my God, I gotta go drop this off today. Oh my God, I gotta go visit this guy. Oh my God, I gotta go do an open house. Oh my gosh, I gotta go. I had a lead come in, so I gotta go show a house. Oh my gosh, because now, and then I get overwhelmed because this sucks. Like that, living like that is terrible.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, how it got into Remax, but I'll get to that in a second. This is where I'm the biggest, I wouldn't say example for that. Like we said earlier, I'm a control freak.
If they don't know, but yeah, we'll
anyways, delegation, right? When you get busy, that means you're doing something right that's bringing you in clients, right? I am a control freak because I like to make sure that everything's perfect, but nothing can ever be perfect. When you get busy and you want to be able to control your time and make best use of that time, make it income producing, you have to be able to delegate. People say I'm overwhelmed and busy. Well, let's be honest. What do you mean by busy? Busy like you don't know what you're doing and you're taking an hour to 2 hours figuring out how to answer that question or how to negotiate this deal. And what's busy? That's the question. Like, what do you mean by busy? If it's busy where you have 7 deals pending and you have a list of clients that you still have to call that are all trying to work with you, whether they're sellers or buyers, you got to get all that stuff. Yeah, delegate that. Got to drop this thing off. I got to put this lockbox on this house, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. Yeah. All these things you can delegate them to somebody else. Go pay somebody. There's a lot of people out there that are looking for jobs, $50 a day, $500 a week, just to do these things for you. But then if that's what's getting you. If you being busy is not knowing what you're doing and you're just lost, because a lot of people say that they're busy, but it's really more than being lost. Like, for example, you're in the middle of a deal and there's an issue with the mortgage and you don't know what to do, and basically that's taken from your day, because
Yeah.
this is a very emotional business.
Yeah.
Right. Like we go through a lot, and people don't understand that. People say, like, when I come home and I'm tired, people look at me. I got a lot of people that I work with, that, factory workers that I know, people that are in construction or whatever, sitting doing roofs for 10 hours a day, and then we go hang out after, and they're all tired and stuff, and they look at me like, "What are you tired from?" You're like, "I was up on a roof for 10 hours. What got you tired? Tapping on a computer?" And I look at them like, "No, dude, we get emotionally drained. Like, we go through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Your mental's important. You know what I mean?" And that's where, I was telling you, I wanted to get to today is routine.
Yeah.
Talking about like the schedule. I mean, what's your daily schedule look like?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, like, if I pull up my Google Calendar right now, it's all color coded.
What do you have again?
My Google Calendar.
Is that
Wild, right?
Yeah. What's that? How many people out there know what that is?
And then mine's color coded, right? Like, because it's like the red is what I have to do, right? Like the red is locked in. The red is what I have to do. Then I have an orange. Then I have a blue. Then I have, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like so, yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah. That's exactly what. Look, this is how what nerds we are. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like my colors are different, but
yeah, but like, there's stuff in there. We're nerds.
Yeah.
Guys, sorry.
So what do you do with your calendar? What do you use it for? Like, why was that the first thing that you said was the calendar?
Because if I don't, I'm dead. If I don't, like, I look, we're all ADD, right? We all have ADD. We're all shiny object syndrome people. That's why we do real estate, right? That's why we're entrepreneurs. And that's why we do this. But if I don't do that, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I forget stuff. I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time because I didn't put it in there. And through I've been married for 24 years this year, and like my wife just put stuff in my calendar. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
we have date night at 9:00 on Friday.
Yeah, like that's all in there. People are like, well, I'm like, no, man, it's just how it has to happen.
In our business, a lot of people tend to forget that, when you're self-employed, when you're an entrepreneur, there's nobody to control you, nobody to tell you or hold you accountable on when you're going to work, how you're going to work. There's no accountability whatsoever. So if you don't hold yourself accountable, if you don't use a calendar and you're a real estate agent, we got problems.
Yeah, because nobody else is holding you accountable.
100%. You need to make sure that you put everything in your calendar, because you need to let your calendar control you, not you control your calendar. Anything and everything that you need to do throughout the day, whether it's the micro things, like I got to go meet up with this client at this certain time, at this certain place, or every day from this time to this time, these are the things I have to do. If it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. And if you don't let your calendar control you, you're not going to be able to be successful in real estate. It is what it is. I don't care what anybody says. The freedom comes when you have everything in line and everything on your schedule.
Yeah.
Because then you know what you're doing when you're doing it. If you don't have a schedule, if you don't have a calendar, please get out of business, because you're going to fail.
Yeah.
100%.
And I tell agents this too. The more you schedule out, the more free time you get. Think about
100%,
that.
100%. Because you can forecast and see, okay, I'm going to be busy this weekend. So because I have a lot of things going on this weekend, maybe I can slow it down next weekend. So I'm not going to book anything for next weekend. I'm not going to do anything for work, any open houses or whatever. I'll let somebody else do the open houses for me, and I'll just sit there and monitor from the boat or from Florida or from the park or whatever I'm doing that weekend, right? Because I did a lot this weekend. But if you don't have a schedule, if you don't have a routine, and what I mean by routine, I'm not talking about like, I go to the office, I make some calls. No, I'm talking about like a daily routine from the moment you wake up to the second you go to sleep. As a real estate agent, if you do not have a routine that you follow through every single day to the T, you'll never be successful. I was closing anywhere from like 15 to 25 deals for like 3 years straight, and I thought I was doing good until I had my first kid. I'll tell you, like in 2007 I got married. 2008 I had my first kid. Great time to get married and have a kid, right? 2007.
Oh yeah,
2008.
yeah, perfect.
Yep, amazing time frame, right? And real estate was like, I moved into real estate because I was telling the mortgage crisis happened. I thought I was doing good by closing 10, 15, 20 deals a year. But remember the price range at that point we were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We were talking average price points like 90 grand, 100 grand. What are you making at, say, 20 deals?
Right.
20
And,
deals?
and the only thing, that's your flat fee and everything, right?
Yeah, let's say you net 60% of your what do you call it, your commission. So if you close $100,000 deals, that's $2 million. 3% of that, 60 grand. You end up betting about 35, 40,000. You pay taxes on that. You make 30 grand. What the hell's 30 grand going to do for you?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was like that for about the first 2 or 3 years of my career, and that's because I didn't have a routine. I'd wake up whenever, I do whatever.
Right.
Maybe I make a few phone calls. I missed a few phone calls, no big deal. Whatever the case may be, I didn't have a routine set. And this is why it's very important for you to actually set up a routine and set up a schedule. If you don't know where to start, it's free on the internet. I swear to you, I did it on the way here just to kind of see if am I right. I went on TikTok, went on Instagram, went on YouTube. A day in the life of a real estate agent, or a real estate agent schedule, a real estate routine, and they practically basically all tell you the same thing. And some of them, are what I do.
Yeah.
You probably have a lot of the things that I do and you do. And it's important because if you don't do these things, you're not going to be able to close 40, 50, 60, 100 deals a day. Because if it's not, what's the number one thing in real estate that people don't think about is consistency.
Right.
If you wake up different times every single day, is that consistent?
I'm just going to throw that in there real quick. Yeah.
People don't understand that consistency is is your key to success, because people can rely on you at certain times at certain places because they know this is where you're at. Just like if I want to go get my morning coffee from a certain place, I know that they're open at a specific time, so my day is revolved around it, right? And this is how you should run your business. Every single day you should have something in the morning, something that you do in the afternoon, and something that you do at night. You have to have a schedule that you have to follow every single day to the T, and it has to be exact. Now, look, things happen, personal things, something with your kid, something at the office, and we've been having leaks at the Dearborn office here and there from freaking stupid landlord, whatever. You have to move around and do things. Things happen, no big deal.
Yeah.
But it's very important to do the same thing every single day. It sucks. Sometimes it gets boring, but it's up to you to kind of like, how are you going to twist it up during the day? It's on you. Do you have a morning routine? Do you have a daily schedule?
Yeah.
Is this something do you let it control you?
Well, yes. Yeah.
And that's because
because if I don't, then everything goes wild.
We'll find you at a happy hour at 2:00.
Yeah, and there's a bar right here. You know what I mean? But you're right. And here's the problem. We all fall into this because, again, we're all ADD and we all are entrepreneurs. I air quote that. But because if I don't do that, and then I always find like I do the same thing, right? I get up at the same time. I do the same thing, right? I brush my teeth, take a shower, like all the things, like that's all included in the whole thing, right? And the funny thing is, like you said, like, so if something happens and throws that off, it screws up my whole day. Then your whole day's shot. Like I'm like, man, crap. And then I feel like I lost a day. And then when I feel like I lose a day, you don't get that day back.
What does it say right here?
Wake up.
What does it say right after that?
Oh yeah,
bathroom, freshen up, drink water.
He's got to drink water, guys.
Like
literally,
in my calendar, this is exact. Exercise, walk, audiobook, coach, every single free. Look, what's on my calendar? What is that? What does that say right there?
Yeah, the podcast is in there.
Right there.
Yeah,
everything's on there to the T.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because if I don't if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. If I don't have it in front of me, if it's not part of my day to day, I'm not going to know about it. I'm going to forget about it.
I'm a psycho too, so I was in my office behind us, right? In my office, I have a wall calendar. That's a year.
Yeah.
Right. So I like EXP cons in October. Right. I know what Christmas and Thanksgiving and all those dates are. And now I started filling in January of 2025. Yep. Like I'm now, it's a quarterly calendar, right? And so I just erased July and put July 2025 in because now I'm just going to replace that as it goes, and it's got to go in and out.
And then you have so if you don't do these things, it's you're not going to be able to consistently do the things that you need to do to be successful. Whether it's following up, whether it's prospecting, whatever the case may be. So it's very important to have these things and have them in your calendar. Like, for example, I'll give you an idea of like what my day looks like. And this is what I kind of wanted to let everybody know is there's 3 things that you have to do every single day. in the morning. Number one, your morning routine consists of the 3 different things, and this is what I do, and I bet you do it. Everybody else that you know, successful agent, has it. It's all different. It's whatever's good for you, but there's things that you have to do in this morning routine. The morning routine is what's going to set you up for the rest of the day.
Absolutely.
If you do not do these things in the morning, however you want to do them, however you want to play it, change it around, but it has to consist of these 3 things. You have to do something for your physical, you have to do something for your mental, you have to do something for your spiritual. However you want to play with that, do it. Your physical, you want to just go walk around the block 3 times, cool. You want to go to the gym, Jeff, shout out to you, man.
Yeah.
Every single morning.
Every single morning, man.
You have to do something physical. You have to pump your heart every single day in the morning, because that exercise, that activity that's in there, the adrenaline keeps running throughout the rest of the day. If you come in, waltzing into the office, and I see this a lot of people coming in like 9 o'clock. Hey, what's up, guys? All right, man, let's get going. That's not gonna happen, man. You're not gonna be able to call anybody, negotiate a deal, handle other people's money and their lives. It's not gonna happen.
No.
Everybody knows that. It's very important. I mean, tell me, imagine you woke up at, like, you came to the podcast. Let's just say we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Imagine you rolled in at 7:15, like literally got out of bed at 7 o'clock. You're at 7:15. Would we have this energy?
No. And it's funny because people ask me, like, on the morning calls, right, on our Breakfast Club calls, they're like, man, how do you have that much energy? I'm like, well, I've been awake for 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm ready. I have my days ready.
Yeah, like I got coffee in me. I'm ready to rock and roll, man.
Yeah, let's
like,
do it.
And I'm like, but that's part of it. You're right. There is the morning routine is important. Getting up and just getting moving, right?
Yeah.
And look, I'm 51, man. Like, I ain't getting younger.
But do you feel that 51?
No, heck no.
Yeah, that's because you do that. And listen, you're in sports. You were coaching forever.
Yeah.
You played sports when you were younger. So you understand the importance of making sure that, listen, and now I'm telling you to go lose weight and be healthy and fit, and you have to have a 6-pack and a 10-pack. No. Just be active. Doesn't matter what it is. Get your, being healthy is one thing, but which is important in your life.
Yeah.
But just being active in real estate in the morning, get your, body going. It gets all the juices and all the chemicals in your body going.
Yeah. Because
the next thing that it's going to do for you is get your mental right. If you get your mind right in the morning, you're coming in and remember, your mind is what you're using throughout the day in real estate. We don't sit there and move car parts in a factory. We don't sit there and scoop ice cream. That's not our job. Our job is to use our mind. We have to use our knowledge of what we have to satisfy clients. Your mental in the morning is what your empty sponge. You got to get that knowledge in there and fill that sponge up. The fact that everybody on this podcast or whoever's listening here and or on the call, the fact that you actually have this one thing that I swear to you, if anybody has paid for coaching or has been coached, they would know and they would understand that these morning calls, everybody should be sending a Venmo or a Zelle or a Cash App or a check to everybody that's on the show, from Jimmy to Kurt to Lisa to whoever else is helping out, and Al. Send a check out to them, pay them, because it's literally this 1 hour. People pay $300 to $500 per hour to get coached, and you're getting it for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're not going to listen to an audiobook, if you're not going to watch a podcast every morning, if you're not going to go through anything, at least be on this call at 7:30, because you have to get in something in the morning to wake you up, a nugget that you got so that you can use it later on throughout that day or the next day or the next week. And you have, dude, you can at least jot down 5 things. At least
5 things, right?
At least.
And for me, the calls really help me to stay sharp, right? Like to stay sharp, because it's like I got, like, people ask me questions, and then I always say, check with your state broker, blah blah blah, like do like I'm not an attorney, right? But at the same point, like it's helped keep me sharp. And Kurt and I've had this conversation a lot about even scripting and role playing and doing all those things. Like we'll script and role play with one another, because it's like this is gonna come up, right?
Yeah,
like it's gonna come up. Obviously, with all the NAR things that are happening, right? Like, how do I overcome this objection? What do I do with that? And I want to touch on that in a second. But this, I'm going to open this up. The Breakfast Club line is live. If you guys hit star, unmute yourself, star, say hello, and you can ask questions or do whatever live from the Breakfast Club line if you want to do that. But I'm going to keep rolling, because I had an agent, and give me your thoughts on this. Now I have a couple thoughts on it. But so I had an agent call me yesterday. So I had a listing that went live today. It went live this morning. Well, I've been just getting phone calls and emails and text messages like, Are you paying a commission? Are you paying a commission? Are you paying a commission?
Yeah.
And I've had to coach these agents up like, hey man, listen, just throw it in the deal and let me know. Like, and they're like, well, are you paying? And then I had an agent literally go, look, my buyer's not giving me any money for this. Are you paying a commission? And I'm like, are you able to negotiate one in? We are willing to work with a buyer's agent. Yes. There's your answer.
There you go.
Right. And so it's just funny. And I said, we are working with buyer's agents. Yes. So one of the agents that called me yesterday, he's like, I've been in the business for 24 years. I looked him up. He does decent business. And he's like, this is just crazy. He's like, what do you thought? So we get in this long conversation. He was calling about the listing, but now we get this long conversation about what's going on. And he said, so he just recently closed on one of his listings.
Yeah.
Now the listing was at 550. They ended up landing at 530.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing 2.5% to the buyer's agent. The buyer's agent calls him and says, look, I was good at 2.5 at 550, but if we're going to go to 530, can I get 3%? And the guy's like, well, let me talk to my seller. They talk to the seller. Yeah. So seller goes, good. He's good with 3%, which was weird to me, right?
Yeah, it's like it's reverse.
Yeah.
If you did it at 530, it should be 2.5. If you get 550, it should be 3.
Right.
So I was making more money. Okay, hey.
Yeah. So
I want to sell a house for that to that seller.
I know, right? So he gets him to the 3. They get to the closing table, and when they're closing, he finds out that the buyer was paying this agent 3% too. So the buyer's agent got 6%.
Wow.
Because he got 3% from the seller and he got 3% on the buy side.
He's a hustler, baby.
So immediately I went, man, that guy's a scumbag. And then I went, man, that guy's a genius. Like it was like,
hey, listen, okay, as long as you're disclosing it, as long as you have everything on the contract and everything's there and people are signing it, yeah, is it sleazy a little bit? It is sleazy. I mean, look, you got to take care of your clients. You got to make sure that, they're not getting taken advantage of. But if they feel like, and in all honesty, it has to be, like true, right? It has to be like genuine. If they feel like you're worth 3% to give them, and they're fine with the other guy paying 3%, hey, hats off to you, bro.
Yeah, more power to you, right?
Hey, bro, more power to you. But you got to watch out how these things happen, because if they find out later, and they kind of had a sense or an implied concept that, hey, look, if you're going to get paid from there, you juice it from here. Whether it's 1%, I'll pay you 2, 1, 3, 0, right? But if you got to watch out when you kind of do these things. Hey, man.
that was my 2 thoughts on it. I was like, man, that's terrible. I would never do that. And then I'm like, would I? Yeah.
But yeah, this is the stuff that we're going to have to go through the whole time. This is why it's important to kind of be on these calls and listen and coach and, get your mind right, get your knowledge right, because if you don't have an answer to every single question, or if you don't have an immediate response when you're having that conversation with that buyer or seller, you're gonna have problems. Remember, we talked about it in the beginning of the podcast. Confidence comes from your knowledge. Right? Yeah. The more you know, the more confident you are. And if you're able to handle an objection or a question or a concern, right away with full confidence, to be able to trust you a lot more. And that goes to our next thing. And this is where the calls that we have in the morning don't just cover educational stuff, right? I mean, it's not about tools and tricks and role play, and it's more than that. Like your spiritual is basically going to wrap around. It's going to be like your boat on that on the gift of yours, right? Having your physical ready and then having your mental ready is great, but without getting your mind right, without having your mindset clear and crisp and to the point where you know exactly how you're going to dominate this day with full confidence, full self-esteem, and a clear mind, you're not gonna be able to do it. If you got your mind right, you got your physical right, then you go into the day thinking that, hey, I'm gonna get torn up today. I'm gonna get destroyed. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. This is gonna be a crappy day, and you're all negative and you have a bad mindset, you're not gonna be able to do it. Spiritual could be anything. It could be, something religious for you to do, that you do, from whatever religion or faith that you're in. It could be more just, taking 10 minutes to, breathe in, breathe out, clear your mind and go in positive, right? And the spiritual thing has to be done throughout the whole day. Do you agree or not?
Absolutely.
Because by noon, oh man, God knows how many problems you're probably dealing with.
Yeah.
Do it again at noon and stop, take a little breather and get your mind right, like clear it out, feel good about yourself. Be more confident, because we're gonna go through a lot of stuff by that time. If you don't get your spiritual center, your mindset right, and have that good positive aura around you, people feel it, even over the phone.
Yeah.
People don't understand that sometimes, I don't say sometimes, all the time. This is why it's important, your tonality. We talk about this when you're prospecting.
Yep.
And even if you're just talking to another agent negotiating a deal, if they feel any kind of negativity or pessimism, or they're just like an ugly feeling coming off the phone, they can hear it in your voice. And if they don't see the confidence and optimism and positivity from you, they're not going to want to work with you. It could be a seller, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
And that's very important, right?
It's very important. Like, I mean, there's days like I'll just walk outside the office and just do a lap. You know what I mean? Just do a lap, come right back in. Like,
you're pumping your blood and you're clearing your mind.
Yep. And it's just
you
like,
kill two birds with
I
one
just
stone.
gotta just go, and I leave my phone in here, and I just go for a walk.
Yeah. This thing right here that I'm wearing, it's like part of me. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Because I have a wireless headset, and I never used to do this before. Thank you, Abdullah, for making a big crease on my hairline. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's actually now he's been wearing a headset. He's been using a microphone because he does a lot of he's been prospecting for all his life. And that's the reason why I have a wireless headset is so that I can get up.
Yes.
When I'm talking, I'm standing up. I'm actually walking around. If I actually tell me we mess around in the office. We kind of like say, hey, who did the most calories and who did the most miles while they're on the phone in the office. We kind of do like a contest. And sometimes I'll do 2 miles just pacing back and forth talking to clients. Maybe sometimes 2.5 miles. I have 4,000 or 5,000 steps just by doing that. Why? Because when I'm talking on the phone and I'm negotiating a deal, or I'm trying to set up an appointment, or I'm trying to build a rapport with somebody.
Yep.
Standing up, walking around, taking a look at the mirror while you're talking. Take a look at yourself, how you're projecting yourself physically. It's all going into that microphone.
100%.
People can hear it and see it.
I'm so glad you said that, because I preach this, right? Like, I'm a fidgeter too, right? So I have to pace, and then I'll have a basketball in my hand, or I'll have a baseball bat in my hand, or something, and I just walk and talk, and then I feel like, and then to the pro tip on this too is then I have to, sometimes depending on the client, then I have to sit because I'm going too fast for them, right?
Exactly.
Like I'm going too fast for them, so I gotta sit, take a deep breath, and then continue the conversation. But now I can slow down because now this client,
you have to match.
Exactly, got a mirror match, and you can feel that on the phone. Like
Correct.
You can feel it on the phone. Like I've had clients, they're older clients that all of a sudden you could tell you've lost them.
You can tell from the way I talk. Sometimes you'll see me we've been on this podcast for a little over a half hour.
Yep, 43 minutes.
I'm a fast talker. I what I mean? But then you'll see me I'll catch myself and be like, hey, honestly, I tone it down a little bit. Like, hey, man, you're going too fast. I'll stop and do this. And it's practice. It takes practice. It's not something that you're born with, right? Sometimes people are just, this is the way they talk, and and they're very slow. And as an agent, if you're talking like this, and you're cold calling me on an expired, and it's 8:30, let's just say 9 o'clock, and I'm taking my kids to school, or about to put it to work. Dude, can you get to the damn phone?
Right.
You gotta be able to control yourself and learn. And I'm still, because my freaking energy level in the morning is crazy, and it goes throughout the day. Like at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, people see me in the office standing, talking on the phone, doing this.
Yeah.
Like, bro, it's 4 o'clock. Like, how the hell do you still have energy? Because I'm physically, mentally, and spiritually ready for the whole day. Because if you're not, this industry is gonna kill you.
And
trust me.
I've had people at events, we were at Build last week, and and people at events come up to me and go, "You stand a lot."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Guess I can't sit here. If I sit here, I'm driving myself crazy."
Do you have an Apple Watch or
I don't
or something?
I don't.
You should get one. And track. Data. I'm telling you because if you track all your actions throughout the day, right? So you can figure out, okay, am I standing enough? Am I walking enough? Am I being energetic enough? Am I calling enough people? How many contacts do I have?
Right.
How many people did I reach out to today? How many deals have I closed? Do I have every single name, email, phone number? Right. If you don't have that,
if you're not
in this industry,
if you're not keeping score,
yes,
right, and you're not, again, you're your own competition.
Yes,
that's another thing I like about this business, right? Like I'm my own competition. Now, do I look at other agents and be like, I could do that. Yeah. I do that, right? We all do that, right?
But
That's just
but in a like you don't do it in a sense where it comes out of being your ego coming out or being like all
no, yeah.
It's just coming out of like self competition, right, within yourself, and you're doing it because you want to push yourself. Going back to Gary Vee, man, why did you freaking bring him up? And he says something that I think is like
because he's the best, dude.
He's awesome. You got to admit, he says something that like I use every single day. Going back and you're talking about looking at your competition, right? There's 2 ways to build the tallest building in town. You ever hear him say that?
I haven't heard this one.
Oh, this is great. There's 2 ways to build the tallest building in town. Number 1, just build the tallest building in town. Number 2 is build a tall enough building, right, to where it stands out there and people can see it, but then try to tear down everybody else's building, right? And a lot of people go that route where they build just enough, but then they start looking at their competition and they start bashing them and try to put them down and try to take away their business and do all that stuff, and they get more worried about the other other people that are in that in the industry and forget about themselves. And then what happens to their building?
I love that.
So if you just focus on your building and build it as tall as you can, and just say that, and that you're doing your best, you can sneak in here, sneak a little bit, take a look at it, but don't look at it where, what am I going to do to bring them down? What am I going to do to build myself up?
Right.
And that's the most important thing. Right?
Yeah, I mean, competition is what drives us.
Yes.
Right. It is what drives us. Now, I love that because I'm still the believer in rising tide lifts all ships. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's enough for us to all eat. You know what I mean? Like there's enough for us to all eat. There's not a problem. But the idea of so that's why I have the buffalo back here, right? Like the buffalo mindset,
yep.
right? So the buffalo mindset is the buffaloes run towards the storm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't run away from it, but they do it together.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I just something popped up on my feed this morning about this. Tom Ferry had on his thing about how cows and other animals, when there's a storm, they move away from it.
They run away from it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's it. So the idea on the cows is the cows run away from the storm.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is the storm still catches them.
Yes.
And they stay in the storm for a lot longer because they're trying to run away from it.
Yep.
The buffalo turn toward it, and they still go through the storm, but they're through it a lot faster because the storm is going to them. They go through it a lot faster.
And a lot of agents do exactly what the cows do, not what the buffaloes do.
Exactly.
And listen, if you don't go ahead first, if you don't go ahead on whatever it is, whatever obstacle you're going, number 1, you're not going to be able to surpass it. Number 2, you're not going to learn from it. That's
right.
The most important thing is, we were just talking about it, you and I. It's, when you went on your journey and you went from, doing your own solo thing to, doing what you were doing, you learned what not to do. A lot of people go to, and try to do things to try to learn things from it that they can take in and implement. But we talked about it. You brought up Leo, the CEO of EXP is, you go into something, sometimes you want to learn what not to do, and you want to figure out, is this something that is, for me to make happen, or is it something that I'm not supposed to be doing? A lot of agents just go in there and just try to take things and they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think if it ain't broke, figure out a way to make it better.
There's always a way to make it better.
Yeah, there's always a way to make it better.
Yeah,
and that's how you differentiate yourself, and that's how you become the person that stands out, where you become the niche agent, where you become that one agent that's exemplary from everybody else, because you can't just go through with what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And I'm not telling you to reinvent the wheel, right? But you can always take that wheel and make it a little bit better, build a little more traction.
Of course.
Make it go faster a little bit, right? It's always good to think that way, but a lot of people don't. It is what it is. Look, you've been in this for a long time, and I've been in it for a minute. Trying to get everybody on board. And this is the reason, I swear to you, look, and I'm 2 things. Number 1, the reason why I'm here is to try to help out as many people as possible. I want to spread the word because, and I say this a lot sometimes in the podcast, or in the morning call when I get on there, and I say to everybody, look, I need everybody around us, especially us EXP agents, to be successful, to push each other, to help each other out, to be better than the rest. Because if we don't do as a collaborative, that's what the group chat is. If we don't do it as a collaborative and help each other out to handle all the objections, take care of whatever issues that your clients have, and we do it as a collective. If we don't stay together and push together to help each other out, to keep that 6%, to keep that 3%, to help each other navigate through buyer agency and seller agency, if we don't figure out ways to negotiate deals as a collaborative, we're going to end up like every other brokerage, right? And there's a lot of, I talk to agents all the time. A lot of people don't know what the hell's going on right now. They don't understand the things that are going to happen, the side effects of what's going on now, and what's going to happen in about 30 days, in 60 days, and the fact that I can give some of my knowledge, some of my expertise. I mean, look, I don't brag. I don't sit here and say I'm the best, I'm this and that, but my data, my history, my results say for themselves, and that's why a lot of people go out there and we're real estate gurus and let me teach you how to be a good agent and all that stuff. I push myself to be the best, not because I want to be better than anybody else, but because I want to go all the way on top and push so that you're not immortal.
Right.
You might get sick and your business can't run itself without you, and I might have to lose some business. I might have to lose some money. My circumstances might change in my life, right? That's the only reason why I push to be the best that I can be, right? And if I'm able to help everybody, because they say you are who you surround yourself.
Absolutely.
You are the 10 people that are around you, your best 4 friends, or whatever the case may be. If I'm surrounded by an amazing, confident, forward-pushing, forward-moving company and collaborative, then I can be more and more successful. So it's like a selfless but selfish thing. I'm trying to help everybody to be I want to be selfless and try to help everybody to succeed, but I'm doing it selfishly so that I can succeed by myself. I want to be able to push myself, because if I'm sitting next to 5 people that are closing 5 deals a year and don't have a schedule, don't have a routine, and don't do anything, what's going to happen to me?
Right.
I'm going to bring down my production. I'm going to bring down my productivity. I'm going to be like them. But if I help them, and I can, and it might be giving up some of my clients and some of my commissions and some of my deals or whatnot to them, and give them a referral to help me out. But then what happens? I'm building relationships with their agents. I'm helping other agents around me become better, which helps me become better.
And it's funny, like the more you stop selling, start helping, and how your business changes when you can change your mindset to that, your business changes.
100%. Thank God this, people can't smell off of this, but I don't have commission breath.
Yeah.
People that know me, people that are around me, and I'm not saying this all because no, I really don't. Like, I can give 2 craps about commission. It's the last thing on my mind, because if you're just pushing for that commission, the energy, the aura about that commission is spread throughout the whole deal, from the listing agent to the seller to you, to your seller, to the buyer, to everybody around you. They feel it. And then everything then happens as a trigger effect from that. It's like a domino effect where everybody knows that you're working just for the money and not for the success of the client and for their future. We were talking about it earlier, recycling. I'm a biggest fan of recycling, not plastic. I mean, look, I do try to help the environment, whatever, plastics and paper and whatnot, but recycling in business is the number one thing. We're in the service industry. We're not selling candy bars where the person buys it one time and you can't reuse it anymore. I can't get that candy bar back and resell it. It's over. With real estate, we're in a service industry where we're working with clients, we're working with investors, we're working with primary residence people that buy maybe one time or maybe buy 20 times. But if you can't recycle that client to either buy or sell again with you, or refer you to 5 or 10 or 15 people, then you didn't do your job as a real estate agent.
Yep.
There's something that happened throughout that process where they didn't feel that you were service driven. You weren't giving enough value, and they didn't feel like you cared. If they don't feel that from you, they don't feel that comfortability of that, it's over. You failed. Doesn't matter if it was a $50 million deal and you made 20% commission on it, you failed, because that's going to be the last thing you ever do.
Yeah.
That's
the amazing part. I see a lot of agents that are high driven. They're high. They're good at what they do, right? But then they just have terrible bedside manner, right? Like they're never going to get that repeat client. Now they will get that deal closed no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter how many people they got to run over and drive through and do whatever, they're going to get the deal closed. So as a client, it's like, do I hate that person? No, because they're going to get this deal done no matter what. Now I'm not inviting them over to the house after. Yeah. Right? Like they're not coming to the house when we're partying.
I'm not going to refer them to my favorite person, my best friend or somebody, because I don't want them to kind of ruin my relationship. Hey, man, what kind of a-hole did you freaking send
Right.
me?
Right. So in our business, it's so important with referrals. Like, I had somebody reach out to me, a client that I just closed a couple deals with, and he's like, hey, do you know this moving company? And I said, look, they, from everything I've heard, they're good. I don't know, and I don't want to personally say they're great because I don't know, right? And I was just completely honest with him. But he called me last night. He's like, dude, they're great. He's like, they were the cheapest, they were the best, they were here, they did this, and that. So now
Jimmy the hero.
I can feel good about referring them, right? But I was honest with him at the beginning. I'm like, hey, I don't know, man. Like, I can't tell you that they're great because I personally don't know. Now I can personally know. Now I can refer them, right? It's kind of like, whether it's a plumber, an electrician, or anybody that we refer out. Like, a lot of times I've had them work at my house, right? Like, the plumber that I refer out a lot has done work at my personal home. So I feel confident giving his number because I've used them, right? 100%. So, but even with agents and with clients and everything else, like, even if I've referred a client out to an agent somewhere else, I have to tell them honestly, truthfully, hey, listen, this is what you should do with this client. You need to do this, and that with them. You need to hold their hand. They're not going to know what's going on. And just forewarn them.
Mentally prepare them.
Yes, exactly. Because we're not, a lot of times we just walk in and like, bam, like, I don't know what to do with this guy right now.
Yeah, 100%. And this, like I said, this is a service industry. We rely on referrals. We rely on, not just referrals from, other, clients, but sometimes other agents, like you reached out to a specific person for a reason, right? Al even tells you, because he does a lot of referrals, he'll tell you that, he sits down sometimes and talks for an hour. I mean, it's not like he's getting 100% of the commission. He's getting a small portion, but he spends time with them because he's trying to make sure that his reputation is good too.
That's the part.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that person came from somebody you knew here local. You messed that up in Kansas, right? That person from your local is not going to use you anymore.
Right.
Yeah, so that's really important. I mean, I don't know, Jimmy. It's it's an honor to be here, and I just really wanted to kind of give whatever insight. And listen, I'll be honest with you, I think I didn't do enough. I still didn't give enough. Like, I got so much. Like, I'm like that one busted gallon of milk, right? But right now it's like a little hole, and it's like the milk is kind of spilling out a little bit. Man, I want to slash that.
Right now you can just put it. Right now you just stop it with a finger, right?
Yeah, there's so much I want to kind of information and value I want to give.
The crazy part is how fast does an hour go, right?
Dude, I feel like it was only 15 minutes. It's nothing.
Well, the funny thing is, like man, and this is probably the third time that you and I have been physically together, right? Yeah. Like, but like, I feel so connected to you because of the morning calls, right? Yeah. But again, it goes back to the people you surround yourself with, right? Correct. And when you start to level up and start to feel like, all right, like, it's like with Lisa, right? Like, holy crap, like, these are the people I want to be around, and then when I talk to other agents about things, I'm like, no, come check it out, man. Like, this is really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't believe it.
But I don't think that anybody else kind of has the culture and the environment and the camaraderie that we have, like the feeling, the energy, when we were at Build. I mean, I was like shocked, like, dude, I was saying the other day, I'm not a hugger, man. I'm not that I'm a hugger. I'm not that like personable, right? But I felt like I knew everybody there. Like, I felt like it was like my family. Like, oh yeah, man, we've been buddies for like 20 years. Like, we went through so much stuff together. But that's the beauty of it. And I,
when you try to, again, Kurt says this a lot. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you get into it. And I described this when I was at Build. Like, I didn't come to EXP. I came to EXP for different reasons. Yeah. So, but man, you're gonna be back. You're gonna be back. Like, we gotta have you back because I know that people have a lot of questions. I know that we're gonna do some cool stuff. I know we're gonna do some cool stuff. So I'm very excited about that, man. I appreciate you coming out. We're gonna continue here in a minute, but we're gonna shut the podcast down for a minute, and then we're gonna go keep streaming. I'm gonna keep the Breakfast Club line open today.
Yeah,
let's see what we can do with the Breakfast Club line.
Hey, listen, Afterburner's gonna be hot. It's gonna be really hot. It's gonna be a good Afterburner. Let's do it.
Well, Fadi, where can we find you?
Dabaja Team on Instagram, Dabaja Team on Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. Just type in Dabaja Team, you'll find me. Even just search my name.
How do you spell it?
Dabaja.
Love it, man. Well, guys, I appreciate the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Fadi, thank you again for joining us this morning. I appreciate it. Breakfast Club, stick around. I want to get some of you guys out here.